My name is R, and I'm a registered nurse. I was until a couple days ago. I've been suspended pending an investigation. The hospital says I forged a death report and abandoned my patient. My colleagues think I'm either lying or losing my mind. My supervisor suggested I take extended leave for mental health reasons. But I need to tell someone what really happened that Halloween night. Not to clear my name. I'm not sure I even can anymore, but because I need to understand it myself. I've been a nurse for 12 years. I've seen people die before, held their hands, comforted their families, written more death certificates than I can count. But I've never had one thank me for it until recently. Let me take you back to October 31st. I was covering the night shift in the east wing of the hospital. That night, the wing was almost completely empty, just the sound of air vents and my own footsteps echoing down the corridor. Budget cuts meant they'd consolidated most patients to the newer sections. Only one room was occupied, room 9. My patient, let's call her Mrs. E. A lady over 80. No family listed. She'd been unconscious for 4 days on comfort care only. The doctors said it was just a matter of time, hours, maybe a day at most. I was her only company that night. Halloween shifts are usually chaos in the ER, but up in the East Wing, dead silent. Just me at the nurse's station, the hum of fluorescent lights, and the soft rhythmic beeping of Mrs. E's monitor echoing down the empty corridor. I remember checking my watch around 2 a.m. Everything was stable. Vitals weak but steady. I had my paperwork spread out, trying to stay awake with terrible coffee and the glow of my computer screen. That's when the monitor alarm went off. A sharp, continuous flatline tone that cut through the silence like a scream. I jumped up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor, and ran down the hallway. My heart was pounding. Room 9's door was slightly ajar, and I pushed it open, already reaching for my stethoscope, already preparing for the protocol. But what I saw stopped me cold. Mrs. E was awake, not unconscious, not struggling, not gasping for air. She was sitting up slightly against her pillows, looking directly at me with clear, lucid eyes. The monitor behind her was still flatlined, still screaming that alarm, but she was present, aware, smiling faintly. Mrs. E. My voice came out as a whisper. Hello, sweetheart. Her voice was soft, weak, but steady, like she'd just woken from a peaceful nap. I should have called for the doctor. Should have checked her vitals. Should have done a dozen things protocol required. But I couldn't move. I just stood there staring. Don't worry, she said, and her hand, her frail paper-thin hand, reached out toward me. My time's up. You've done enough. I don't know why I took her hand. Training says assess, intervene, document. But something in her eyes told me this wasn't a medical emergency. This was something else. I walked to her bedside and held her hand. It was warm, real. I could feel her pulse, faint and fluttering, beneath my fingers. Are you in pain? I asked quietly, switching off the alarm. The sudden silence felt sacred. No pain. She squeezed my hand gently. Just tired. So very tired. We sat like that for what felt like forever, but was probably only a few minutes. She talked to me in fragments, about a garden she used to tend, about her late husband James, about how she'd always loved the fall because of the colors. I'm glad it's Halloween, she whispered. The veil is thin tonight. Makes the crossing easier, don't you think? I didn't know what to say to that, so I just held her hand tighter. Thank you for being here, she said, her voice growing softer. For not letting me go alone. Of course, I managed, my throat tight. I'm right here. Her breathing slowed. Became shallow. The monitor's steady beep. Somehow it had started again. Began spacing out. Slower. Slower. She looked at me one last time, squeezed my hand with surprising strength, and whispered, You're a good soul, R. Don't forget that. Then her eyes closed. Her hand went limp in mine. The monitor wailed again, and this time it didn't stop. I stood there for a moment, just breathing, feeling the weight of what had happened. Then I gently closed her eyes, pulled the sheet up to her shoulders, and walked back to the nurse's station in a daze. I documented everything. Time of death, 2:53 a.m. Wrote up my notes about her final moments being peaceful, comfortable. I get the doctor's signature in the morning. Standard procedure. I felt heartbroken but also peaceful, like I'd been part of something sacred. Like Mrs. E had gotten exactly what she needed, to not die alone. I finished my shift, went home, slept heavily for the first time in weeks. The next afternoon, I came back for my evening shift. My supervisor, let's call her Linda, was waiting at the nurse's station. Her face was stone. "We need to talk. Now," she said coldly, then led me to her office. My stomach dropped when I saw the security manager there too. "There's been an incident regarding patient in the East Wing," Linda said, her voice tight. "You documented her time of death as 2:53 a.m. on Halloween night." "Yes," I said slowly. "I was with her. She passed peacefully." Linda's jaw tightened. "We've reviewed the security footage from that night." She turned her laptop toward me. On the screen, grainy black and white footage from the camera at the nurse's station. There I was, sitting in my chair, head down on my arms, clearly asleep. The timestamp in the corner read 2:47 a.m. "That's when the alarm went off," I said. I ran to her room. The security manager's voice was firm, saying, "You never left that chair." He fast-forwarded the footage. 2:48, 2:49, 2:50. There I was, still asleep, not moving. 2:53 a.m. Still asleep. 2:57 a.m. I finally stirred, lifted my head, checked my watch. "But that's impossible," I whispered. I was in her room. I held her hand. She talked to me. "The hallway camera confirms it," he said. "You never entered room 9 that night." My blood turned to ice, because what I saw next shouldn't have been possible. Then how? I pulled out my notebook, the one where I'd written the notes. The time of death. I documented 2:53. How did I know? "That's what we're trying to understand," Linda said quietly. "Mrs. E's monitor recorded her time of death as 2:53 a.m. You wrote that down. But according to the footage, you were asleep when it happened. You either watched the security footage yourself before writing the report, which violates protocol," the security manager said, "or you made an extremely lucky guess. Either way, we have concerns about your conduct that night." "I didn't watch the footage," I said, my voice shaking. "I was there. I was in that room." I felt her hand. She thanked me. They exchanged glances. The kind that said, "She's not well." "Our," Linda said gently. "We're placing you on administrative leave pending investigation. We think you may have experienced a stress-related episode. This job is demanding, and I'm not crazy." My voice cracked. "I know what I experienced." But even as I said it, doubt crept in. The footage didn't lie. Security cameras don't have agendas. I've watched that footage myself now, downloaded it, studied every frame, and there's no denying it. I never left that chair. My body was there, asleep the entire time. But I remember everything so vividly. The warmth of her hand, the way she said my name, the smell of hospital disinfectant mixed with something else, something sweeter, like autumn leaves. How did I know the exact time of death? How did I write those notes? Detailed notes about her final words, her peaceful passing, when I was supposedly unconscious. They took me to a therapist the same day. The therapist says it was a parasomnia episode, that I experienced a vivid dream and somehow incorporated real-time information subconsciously. That stress and exhaustion created a false memory, so convincing I can't separate it from reality. She could be right. But then I remember what Mrs. E said. "The veil is thin tonight. Makes the crossing easier." Maybe she didn't want to die alone. Maybe my body was asleep, but my soul was exactly where it needed to be. Or maybe I'm just a tired nurse who fell asleep on duty and somehow guessed the exact minute a woman died. I don't know anymore. What I do know is this: I haven't slept through a night since. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in room 9, holding that warm hand, hearing that soft voice thank me. The cameras say I was never there, but my heart knows I was. And I hope, God, I hope that wherever Mrs. E is now, she knows she didn't die alone. Even if no one believes me. Even if I'm not sure I believe myself anymore. Because that Halloween night didn't just cost me my job. It took my peace, my reputation, and maybe my sanity. But if it gave her peace, then maybe it was worth it. Right?
I never believed in ghosts. Not until Halloween of 2024, when I was 27 and stupid enough to ignore every warning sign that existed. My name's Z, and I need to tell someone what happened to me that night, because I'm still not sure if I'm losing my mind or if something genuinely unexplainable occurred on that mountain trail. Here's the thing about where I live. Every October 30th, the night before Halloween, locals go on this midnight hike up a mountain. Some bonding tradition about honoring the spirits of the season. I just moved to here, and my buddy, I call him Jake, wouldn't shut up about how I needed to experience a real Halloween. If I had known what was in store for me, I should have stayed home like I used to. About 15 of us gathered at the trailhead around 11 p.m. Jake's friends mostly. People I'd met once or twice. Everyone had flashlights, camping gear, and that excited energy you get when you're about to do something slightly reckless. We started hiking. The trail wound through dense forest that swallowed the moonlight. Jake was ahead, cracking jokes. I was comfortable, thinking this was actually pretty cool. Then nature called. I tried to ignore, but it persisted. Hard. Need to take a leak. I called out, "Keep going, I'll catch up." Jake gave me a thumbs up, and the group continued ahead, their flashlights bobbing like fireflies in the darkness. I stepped off trail, went behind some trees. The whole thing took maybe 2 minutes. But when I came back, I couldn't see their lights anymore. The forest had gone completely silent. "Jake!" I called out. Nothing. I started walking faster, following what I thought was a trail. Panic crept in, that cold feeling when you realize you've messed up. That's when I saw lights ahead. "Hey, guys, wait up!" I jogged toward them, breathing hard. As I got closer, I could make out a group of hikers. Almost the same size as ours, maybe 7 or 8 people. They turned as I approached, and one of them, a girl about my age with dark hair, smiled. "You lost?" she asked. "Yeah, got separated. Mind if I tag along?" "Sure. You can call me Kay. This is..." She rattled off names I immediately forgot, except hers. There was something about Kay that made it impossible to look away. We walked for what felt like hours. The conversation flowed easily. These people were funny, warm, welcoming. Kay walked beside me, and we talked about everything. Our jobs, our families, stupid things that made us laugh. She wore this unusual necklace, a silver pendant with an intricate Celtic knot. "Nice necklace," I said. "Thanks." She touched it lightly. "Been in my family forever. My grandmother gave it to me." Eventually, we reached a clearing and set up camp. By then, I'd completely forgotten about Jake and the others. I told myself I'd find them once I was back down. We built a fire. Someone pulled out food, sandwiches, trail mix, whiskey that burned going down. The atmosphere felt dreamlike, surreal. The fire cast dancing shadows on everyone's faces, and I felt a strange sense of belonging, like I'd known these people forever. Kay and I kept gravitating toward each other. Our conversations grew quieter, more intimate, when the others started settling into their tents. She touched my hand. "Want to share?" she asked, nodding toward her tent. I should have thought it was weird. Should have questioned why I felt so comfortable with someone I'd just met, but I didn't. We crawled into her tent, and things happened. Everything but the real deal. I noticed something odd for half a second. Her breath didn't miss in the cold air, but at the time, I couldn't focus. For those hours, nothing else mattered. I fell asleep with her breathing softly beside me, her fingers intertwined with mine. When I woke up, the sun was barely cresting the horizon. I was alone, not just alone in the tent, alone in the clearing. The fire was dead and cold, like it had been out for days. The other tents were gone. Kay was gone. No sign anyone had been there except me. "Kay?" My voice cracked. "Kay!" I scrambled out of the tent, heart hammering. The clearing was exactly as I remembered it, but empty, completely empty. I checked my phone, dead of course. That's when I heard voices, familiar voices. Z, Z. I spun around. Coming up the trail were Jake and the others from my original group. They looked exhausted, worried, shocked to see me. "Oh my God, man, where you been?" Jake grabbed my shoulders. What do you mean? I was hiking. I found another group. Z, you've been missing for 7 hours. We've been searching everywhere. He gestured around us. We're at the original trailhead. You somehow ended up right back where we started. I looked around, really looked. He was right. I could see the parking lot through the trees, the sign marking the beginning of the trail. That's impossible. I hiked for hours. I went up the mountain with Kay, and there was no other group, man. One of the ladies cut me off gently. We contacted the ranger station. No other permits were issued last night. It was just us. My mouth went dry. No, that's not. I was with them. We camped. I talked to Kay. I couldn't finish. Jake's face had gone pale. Kay? Z, what did she look like? Dark hair, about her age. She wore this really distinctive silver necklace with a Celtic knot. Stop. Jake's voice was sharp. He pulled out his phone, scrolled frantically, then held it up to me. It was a missing person poster from 7 years ago. The girl in the photo was Kay. Same face, same smile, same necklace. This girl? Jake whispered. She went missing during the Halloween hike 7 years ago. They never found her body. Everyone thinks she fell off one of the cliffs, but he trailed off, looking at me with something between horror and disbelief. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the cold ground, staring at the photo. The girl I'd spent the night with. The girl whose moans I heard over and over. That's impossible, I said, but even as the words left my mouth, I knew. Deep down, I knew. We never found my tent, the one I'd slept in. The clearing where we camped doesn't exist on any trail map. The rangers searched based on my description. Nothing. I moved away from the neighborhood 3 months later. Couldn't handle it. Couldn't drive past a mountain without feeling goosebumps. But here's what really haunts me, what keeps me awake at night. When I got home that morning and finally charged my phone, there was one text message, sent at 3:47 a.m. from an unknown number. It just said, "Thank you for finding me. Kay." Until now, I've never told anyone complete truth about that night. Not the police, not my therapist, not even Jake. Because how do you explain that you spent the night with a ghost? That for a few hours, a girl who disappeared 7 years ago felt more real than anything in your life? Henceforth, I won't hike at night anymore, especially on Halloween. Because part of me, the part that felt Kay's hand in mine, that heard her laugh, kind of wants more.
My name's Mara. I host a late-night radio show called Midnight Company, the kind of place where lonely hearts and sleepless souls find company in static and song. It's not glamorous. No celebrity interviews. No viral moments. Just me talking to people who can't sleep. Mostly elderly folks who live alone. Insomniacs, night shift workers. People who need a friendly voice in the dark. I read their letters on air. Play their song requests. Mostly oldies from the 60s and 70s. Answer their questions about gardening or recipes, or whether it's going to rain tomorrow. It's cozy, comforting, safe, or at least it used to be. This happened last Halloween, October 31st, 2024. A night I'll never forget, no matter how hard I try. Let me start from the beginning. That evening before my shift, I took a rideshare to the studio. My car was in the shop, and I didn't feel like walking in the cold. The driver was this chatty guy in his 40s. Round face, friendly smile. We made small talk. He asked what I did for work, seemed impressed when I mentioned the radio show. Halloween night broadcast, huh? Bet you're doing something spooky. Actually, no, I laughed. Every other station does ghost stories and scary calls. I stick to the cozy stuff. My audience is mostly seniors. They want comfort, not jump scares. He nodded thoughtfully, then asked, "What do you think kids love most about Halloween?" I didn't think much of it. Just conversation. Candy and surprises, I guess. The excitement of it all. Just don't scare them too much, you know? He smiled. Candy and surprises. Yeah, that makes sense. We pulled up to the station. I thanked him, tipped through the app and headed inside. That conversation should have been forgettable. Just another rideshare chat. But it wasn't. The studio was quiet that night. My producer, aka my partner, was in the booth behind the glass, half asleep with his coffee. Our chat room, where my elderly listeners type messages during the show, was active but mellow. People talking about their Halloween decorations, sharing photos of their grandkids in costumes. I started the show like always. Warm greeting, weather update, a few song requests. Played Moon River for someone. Read a letter from another about his tomato garden. Everything was normal. Peaceful. Until 11:47 p.m. The call came through on line 3. My partner signaled me, "New caller, not a regular." I pressed the button. "You're on Midnight Company. What's your name, dear?" Silence. Then a trembling young voice. Please help me." I assumed it was a prank. We get one every Halloween. Teenagers trying to be spooky. "You're on the wrong station, sweetheart," I said gently. "We tell bedtime stories here, not ghost tales." "He's outside." Her voice cracked. I can see him. Static. Muffled breathing. Then the line went dead. Eli and I looked at each other through the glass. His expression said, "Prank, right?" But something about her voice felt wrong. Too real. The chat room lit up. One said, "Probably a Halloween stun lol." Another said, "Let's see how this plays out." A third text came in saying, "Maybe it's real this time?" Then another which read, "Finally, something exciting." I laughed nervously, trying to lighten the mood. "Well, folks, looks like we got our one spooky call for the year. Let's get back to." Line 3 lit up again. Same number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello. Please." The same girl, crying now. "He's still outside. He's wearing a mask. He said he has candy." The chat room exploded. "Ooh, maybe this one's real," one listener typed. "Let's see what happens next." Another teased. They didn't sound cruel, just curious. It was something new, something thrilling. "Ask her where she is." This sounds serious. "Can we trace the call?" Someone call the police. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Honey, where are you calling from?" "Somewhere near a bridge." I ran from the van. "What van?" "What's your name?" I asked, and the girl gave me her name before adding, "Please, I don't know where I am, I just." The line cut again before she could finish her sentences. My partner was already on his phone, trying to trace the signal. The elderly listeners, my sweet, cozy audience, had transformed into an amateur detective squad. Messages flooded in, all trying to pinpoint the exact location. I felt ice in my veins. This may not be a prank after all. I kept the show going, playing music, trying not to panic on air. But my hands were shaking. At 1:32 a.m., line 3 lit up again. The girl's voice was weaker now, terrified. "He's back. He's calling my name. He knows I'm hiding. Please stay on the line. Help is coming. Can you describe what you see?" "A van. Orange lights on top." "The man she sobbed. "What does he look like?" I whispered. "Round face, friendly smile. He's wearing this orange pumpkin pin." My brain went back to my driver. Especially his question. Could it be? We immediately connected the police and everyone began the signal. The chat room had gone from excited to terrified. "Mara, stay with her. Don't let her hang up. The police are almost there." I remained on the call, begging her not to hang up while also trying to calm her down. "Stay hidden. Help is right there. Don't move. Don't make a sound." I could hear her breathing, fast, panicked. Gravel crunching somewhere in the background. Then, sirens. Faint at first, then louder. "I hear them," the girl whispered. "I hear the sirens. That's them. That's help. You're going to be okay." A long pause. Then a muffled cry. Relief or fear, I couldn't tell. The call disconnected. The studio was silent. My partner and I just stared at each other. The chat room had frozen. No one typing, everyone waiting. I went on a commercial break and collapsed in my chair, shaking. 20 minutes later, my partner's phone buzzed. He read the message, then looked at me with relief in his eyes. They got her. She's safe. And they arrested him. The morning news confirmed it and confirmed my suspicions. It was the same driver, and if not for her call being transferred to me instead of 911, who may not have believed her because it was Halloween. Who knows what could have happened? Now, every time someone asks me an innocent question, I think about how casual evil can be, how a friendly face and a simple conversation can hide something monstrous. And every Halloween, I remember the night my cozy little show became a lifeline for a girl I'd never met. The night my words almost cost a life or even more. Learn from my story. Stay safe. And if a stranger ever asks anything, think twice before you answer.
You can call me Dave. I've traveled to almost 50 countries, slept in haunted-looking hotels, and eaten street food that should have killed me. But nothing, not even ghost stories, prepared me for what happened this Halloween. Merely days ago, I had to fly to another country for a 3-day business conference. I won't say which one, partly for privacy, partly because I'm still not sure I want anyone to go back and confirm what happened was real. Everything went wrong from the start. My connecting flight got delayed 6 hours. My luggage got sent to the wrong city. When I finally landed, exhausted and wearing the same clothes for 20 hours, I found out my hotel had canceled my reservation due to overbooking. It was Halloween week, which surprised me. I guess I'd assumed Halloween wasn't really a thing here, but from the airport, everywhere had decorations, plastic skeletons, orange streamers, the whole commercial package. I was standing outside the terminal at midnight, jet-lagged and desperate, when a cab driver approached me. "You need hotel?" "I ain't no place." "Still has rooms." "Very close." I didn't have many options. "Yeah, sure. Anything." The drive took about 20 minutes through mostly dark streets. Finally, we pulled up to the small colonial-style building, lit with orange lanterns and covered in Halloween decorations, plastic bats, fake cobwebs, carved pumpkins on the steps. The sign above the entrance read, THL C. The driver grinned. "Perfect for Halloween, yes?" I paid him, thinking at least the place looked clean and seemed to have electricity. "So you do celebrate Halloween here?" "Some places do." His smile faded slightly. "Some places, it's not celebration. It's respect." "Respect for what?" I asked, but he didn't answer. Just crossed himself before driving off. Inside, the lobby was small but decorated elaborately. More pumpkins, candles, strings of lights shaped like ghosts. Behind the desk, a young woman smiled warmly. "Welcome to THL. Checking in?" "Yeah, please. I don't have a reservation, but I was told you might have availability." "Oh, yes. We always have room during Halloween week." She pulled out 3 small glass jars filled with folded papers. "Due to festivities happening this week, we allow our guests to pick their rooms from the jar. Makes it more fun, yes?" I was too tired to question it. Thought it was just a theme gimmick. So, after picking the tier of room I want, I reached in and pulled out a folded piece of paper from one of the jars. "Room 13. The receptionist's smile faltered for just a second. Her eyes widened slightly before she caught herself. "Ah, that room hasn't been picked in quite some time. Unlucky, 13. I joked, trying to lighten the mood. Something like that." She handed me an old brass key. 3rd floor end of the hall. Then she leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping. "If you hear anything at night, just ignore or have fun." I laughed. That's good marketing. Really sells a spooky atmosphere. She gave back an awkward laugh. "Enjoy your stay," she said quietly. Room 13 was at the very end. The door was old, heavy with the number painted in faded gold. Inside, the room seemed normal enough. A bed with white linens, a small desk, a wardrobe, but something fell off. The window was nailed shut, wooden boards crossed over it. The air smelled like lavender mixed with something else. Ash, maybe, or old incense. And hanging by the door, on a small hook, were brass ankle bells, the kind dancers wear, with small metal pieces that jingle when they move. I stared at them for a moment, then shook my head. Just decoration. Part of the theme. I texted my coworker. They put me in the haunted room. If I don't show up tomorrow, call the Ghostbusters. He sent back a laughing emoji. I showered, brushed my teeth with bottled water, and collapsed into bed. I was asleep in minutes. Then I woke up to a soft jingling sound. The room was dark except for a sliver of moonlight coming through the cracks in the boarded window. I checked my phone, 3 a.m. The jingling came again, gentle, rhythmic, like someone walking slowly, wearing ankle bells. I assumed it was the bells by the door, maybe moved by a draft or vibration from another room. I closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. Then I heard it, faint childlike laughter echoing from somewhere. My eyes snapped open. The temperature had dropped. I could see my breath misting in the air. The jingling continued, but now it sounded closer, like it was right outside my door. I sat up, intending to check the peephole, but the moment I tried to move, I froze, not mentally, but physically. My body wouldn't respond. My arms wouldn't lift. My legs wouldn't move. I was awake, eyes open, but completely paralyzed. Sleep paralysis. I'd experienced it once before in college. I knew what it was, but knowing didn't make it less terrifying, because I could still see, still hear. The jingling grew louder, more frantic. The bells by the door were shaking violently, even though there was no wind, no movement I could detect. Shadows danced across the ceiling in patterns that didn't match any light source. And in the mirror across from my bed, something moved. Not a reflection, not a shadow. A child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, wearing traditional clothing with ankle bells wrapped around her feet. Her face was blurred like an old photograph, but I could feel her staring at me. She stood at the foot of my bed. The jingling stopped. She began to whisper in a language I didn't understand. It sounded like a song or maybe a prayer. The words repeated over and over, growing louder. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. She tilted her head, and I could finally make out her eyes, endless, sad. Then she raised one small hand and pointed at me. I felt pressure on my chest, like someone sitting on me. Cold fingers brushed my wrist. I squeezed my eyes shut, remember what the receptionist had said, and ignore was the best option. When I finally regained control of my body, the sun was up, and the girl? Gone. The bells by the door were still swaying gently, even though the air was completely still. I grabbed my things and ran. Downstairs, the lobby was full of guests eating breakfast, laughing, talking about their night. Best Halloween experience ever, one guy said. Those actors were so realistic. I loved the jump scares, a woman added. Totally worth it. The receptionist saw me and smiled. Good morning. Did you sleep well? No, my voice was shaking. What the hell happened in that room? The bells, the child, it was all an act. Her smile never wavered. What? I half yelled, and everyone turned to look at me like I was overreacting. I checked out immediately, left my breakfast untouched. The cab driver who picked me up was different from the one who dropped me off. When I gave him the address of my conference hotel, he glanced at THL in his rear view mirror and asked why I chose that creepy place of all the hotels around. I couldn't answer. Just wanted to get out of that vicinity. I flew home 2 days later, went straight to my apartment, took a long shower, and tried to forget, but I couldn't. Now, I've developed a fever. I have nightmares every single night. Always the same. I'm back in room 13, frozen in bed, hearing those bells jingling right before I wake up, and each time, the girl always says, "You came to play with me." I am now 100% sure whatever happened in that hotel was not a mere celebration. Do I want to know what on earth is going on? No. I just want my normal life back.
He. You can call me C, and I'm a mother of 2 beautiful kids. They're 15 and 17 now. Old enough to think I'm crazy, young enough that I can still say no. And I have been saying no for 3 weeks straight. There's a Halloween carnival coming back to the region this weekend. Same location. Same name. 20 years later. My kids have been begging, pleading, even crying to go. Their friends are all going. Everyone's excited. The flyers are everywhere. Vintage design, nostalgic vibes, promising the experience of a lifetime. I can't let them go. Not after what I saw. Not after what happened when I was 18. I need to tell someone this. Maybe if I say it out loud, I'll understand why I'm so terrified. Why every time I close my eyes, I see those eyes staring back at me. Let me take you back to October 2005. I was 18 senior year, invincible in that stupid way teenagers are. My friends and I had been saving money all year for this traveling carnival that only came through once in a while. It was legendary. People talked about it like some magical experience you couldn't miss. There were 6 of us, and we borrowed one of our older brother's van, packed it with snacks and way too much confidence. Someone brought a bottle of something strong, said it would make the night more fun. We were idiots. Young, reckless idiots. The carnival was set up in this massive field just outside town. The moment we arrived, it felt like I was about to experience something outwardly. The lights were too bright, spinning in colors that didn't quite look right. The music was distorted, like it was playing through water. Everything had this dreamlike quality, and I remember thinking it was just the atmosphere they were going for. We'd been drinking. Not a lot at first, just enough to feel brave. But someone had spiked the bottle, we didn't find out until later, and by the time we realized we were actually messed up, we were already deep into the carnival. That's when we found it. The House of 1,000 Eyes. The sign was old, hand-painted, with these ornate letters that seemed to shift when you weren't looking directly at them. The entrance was a massive door covered in mirrors, each one reflecting something slightly wrong, your image, but distorted, like you were looking at versions of yourself from different timelines. Come on, this looks sick. My friend Lee grabbed my hand, pulling me forward. Inside was chaos. Mirrors everywhere, creating impossible hallways that looped back on themselves. Strobe lights flashed in patterns that made my head spin. Laughter echoed from somewhere, but I couldn't tell if it was real or recorded. We split up, stupid, I know, trying to find our way through the maze. That's when I saw it. In one of the rooms, there was this massive painting. 1,000 tiny mirrors were in it, like eyes, all watching me. Not reflecting, just watching. The painting itself showed a carnival scene, similar to the one we were in, but the details were wrong. The colors were darker. The people's faces were blurred, except for one, a girl who looked exactly like me, standing frozen, staring at something in horror. I stepped closer, and the painting changed. The carnival scene dissolved into something else. A road. A sharp turn. A van. Tommy's brother's van. Wrapped around a tree, headlights flickering, smoke rising from the crumpled hood. The windshield was shattered. I could see blood. You seeing this? I whispered, but when I turned around, my friends had moved on. I heard them laughing somewhere deeper in the house, seeing other fun things. I tried to shake it off. Told myself it was the drugs, the alcohol, the atmosphere. Just a trippy art installation meant to mess with people. Lee found me a few minutes later. You look like you've seen a ghost, she joked. Just weird art, I managed. Yeah. She grinned. You're seeing the future then. Better hope it's a good one. We laughed. God, we laughed about it. By midnight, we were all exhausted. Too drunk, too high, too disoriented to drive. We decided to sleep it off in the van, parked near the exit. I was supposed to hold the keys. I was usually the responsible one, but I was so out of it, I just passed out in the back seat. I woke up once, briefly, and it was 'cause someone found a tent we could all sleep in. It was way comfy, so we all left the van and went back to sleep. But then, I woke up to sirens. Too many familiar loud voices made me rush out of the tent. What do you mean? Where's Lee? Someone asked. I didn't understand. I looked around confused. Everyone else was here panicking. All of us besides Lee and the van that was across us. What's going on? I mumbled. That's when they told me. While we moved to the tent, Lee had taken the keys, said she was going to get cigarettes from the gas station a few miles away. None of us heard her leave, we were all passed out. She never made it to the gas station. She crashed on the road, the sharp turn everyone knew was dangerous. Lost control. The van wrapped around a tree, just like in the painting. Time of death, 3:17 a.m. The painting from that creepy house flashed in my head. What they were describing was exactly what I saw. Even the time, it was the fucking same. I fell to the ground immediately. They said it was an accident. Speed, impairment, bad road conditions. But I knew. I'd seen it. The house had shown me, and I'd done nothing. Instead, I laughed it off. I went to sleep. If only I knew. I could have stopped her. I could have held on to those keys. I could have stayed awake. I've carried that guilt for 20 years. Lee's parents never blamed any one of us, but we could feel it. Little by little, my other friends drifted away. I tried to move on. Went to therapy. Got married. Had kids. Built a normal life. But I never forgot that house. Those 1,000 eyes, watching from every mirror. That painting that showed me the future and dared me to change it. Sometimes I still dream of that painting. Only now, my kids may be the next victims. 3 weeks before Halloween, my daughter came home with a flyer. Same vintage design. Same location. And right there in the center, in those same ornate letters, the House of 1,000 Eyes. Mom, everyone's going. Please, we've been planning this for months. I felt my blood turn to ice. No. What? Why not? They both asked me. How do you explain to your children that you're terrified they'll see something they can't unsee? That the universe might show them a future they can't change? It's not safe, I said weakly. You're being paranoid, my son added. It's just a carnival. Yeah, Mom, my daughter said, rolling her eyes. What? Did someone die there or something? Yes, someone died. My best friend died because I ignored a warning I didn't understand. They think I'm overprotective. Maybe I am. My husband thinks I need to let them grow up, let them have experiences. You can't protect them from everything, he says. But he didn't see that painting. He didn't watch his best friend's future play out in oils and smoke before it happened. For 3 weeks, I've held firm. No carnival. Absolutely not. Last night, I came home from work and found 2 of them in the living room, grinning. Mom, we need to talk, one of them said. My stomach dropped when my daughter pulled out 2 tickets from her backpack. Pre-ordered. Already paid for. You know. You ruined this year's Halloween for us, she said, and I could hear the teenage defiance in her voice. But you're not ruining next year's. We're going whether you like it or not. We're old enough now. So tell me something. Would you let your kids go? Would you trust that I'm just being paranoid? That it was all just coincidence and guilt playing tricks on my mind? My husband said to let it go. And all I can do now is pray that when they walk into that house, if they walk into that very house, there's nothing waiting for them in the mirrors. The thought of losing my children the same way I lost my best friend terrifies me. And if anything happens, I am not sure I would be able to forgive myself.